Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Uh, One of the recent news stories here in Midland is a migrant. How do you say? Midland leaders blindsided by arrival of migrants at holding facilities, and here in Midland. And I'll just play this little news clip or part of it so you'll understand what's going on here.
And Midland city officials say they have more questions than answers regarding the migrant holding facility in Midland County. Officials held a news conference to address the situation, but say they just found out about the facility yesterday themselves. CBS 7's Kate Porter joins us now live from the migrant facility with more. Kate?
Last night, I watched 4 busloads full of children around here to this facility behind me around midnight. Today in a press conference, Mayor Patrick Payton said that this facility will house 700 male migrant children ranging in age from 13 to 17 years old. Midland city and county officials spent most
I've long suspected that the people in the attic at my home and the many other homes I've documented was connected with illegal immigration. And, you know, Midland is close to the border, but I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off my attic. I had reported somebody in my attic a year before that. And now I've documented homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, and across the country reporting people in the attic. I've made videos, suggesting maybe there were stash homes, because I believe the people that are in the attic are not the crime ring leaders. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they're, are not undocumented immigrants. And I saw a young Hispanic guy on camera in my attic one day. I just didn't have the recorder going. I'm going to tell you about that here in a minute. And so anyway, that's the big news story here in Midland, is this migrant facility. Now, I just shared on my Facebook here this post: Texas Republicans rip Biden after Border Patrol captures convicted sex predators illegally crossing the border. And so that's one of the, concerns is that we have criminals that are coming across with in this migration. Many homeowners have been documented. This is what I wrote. Many homeowners have been documented reporting people in the attic since I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off my attic, and I've wondered if these homes were rigged by a human trafficking ring to profit from illegal immigration. Okay, and so then I started putting comments under here, and my first comment was, I reported people in my attic before I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off in my attic. What this is the nurse's notes right here, and this was minutes. It's time stamped actually, 11:27. I was crawling out at 10:42, less than an hour before this was written by the emergency room nurse. I had been ambushed and shot by somebody under my home with burglar alarms going in my attic. And that's what it's showing here is one, I'm going, there's sirens, burglar alarms are going off. Here's a voice recorder in my attic. That voice recorder was stolen by the police and missing for a year or two until I made a big point of it, and then they checked it into evidence late. And what the recorder did was record the burglar alarms going off. It proved I was shot during a home invasion because these corrupt police have said that I've shot myself, and the evidence is clear that didn't happen. They were trying to cover up this failed murder. It might have been police under my home that shot me, and and would explain why they're making up the lies and destroying the life of an innocent crime victim homeowner that shot during a home invasion. And so anyways, here you can see more of the notes where the nurse documents me telling the detective I have proof in my house. I got proof, just go look. And they went and stole the proof that I told them about, literally, And here's dirty cop Detective Rosa Rodriguez. The nurse is documenting her with their badge number having my stuff, And that is one main player there, caught tampering with evidence, caught lying on police reports, and as far as I know is still a detective. I kid you not. It's absolute lawlessness here. But anyways, I just want to show you that. That's, here in my home at 3802 Fair Circle, Midland, Texas. Of course, the previous owner died, 2 weeks before I bought this home, the week before the 2008 oil show started. I believe he's murdered here and carried to Fort Worth. Much longer story. Anyways, My next post, in 2013, I overheard a call on a police scanner where the owner of 4619 Story Street here in Midland was reporting somebody in the attic. And I have a video on that called Attic Investigation 4619. Okay, so imagine my surprise when I found out it wasn't happening at just my home. Nobody had told me that. Of course, the press is hiding this from the public. And, you know, I mean, that's a big deal right here, because every time one of these owners reports somebody in the attic and they're called crazy and their life is destroyed, and you know, or they're murdered in their home, or their family's murdered in their home, or whatever, the press knows all this, and they know this is going on all over the place, and they're hiding it from the public. You know, that's the only way it works. If the public only knew, heads would roll and these crimes would be stopped. In 2012, the news reported that a woman in Carlsbad, New Mexico, set her home on fire because of people in the attic. I wondered if that stopped them from killing her. She ended up going to prison because she set her home on fire, saying people were in the attic. I have a video on that called Attic Investigation, 601 South 6th Street in Carlsbad. That Carlsbad is close to my hometown, Hobbs, New Mexico. We're all here on this same oil field, the Permian Basin oil field. It's a couple hours from here. My dad used to work over there by Carlsbad. Okay. There's been multiple homes over in Odessa where I happened to find out the owners were reporting people in the attic. I have a video on that called Attic Investigations for Odessa Homes. So these are 4 different homes where you know, I have proof that the owners reported somebody in the attic. But, you know, of course, the public doesn't know that. You know, that's what's being hidden from the public by our press and the police, that they're hiding all these crimes from the public. And these are violent criminals. I mean, they cut my phone lines and shot me. I overheard this call on my police scanner where a woman said there was a person in their attic at 300 Hickory Street in Midland. She was in her front yard with her family, scared to death, rightfully so. Once again, this is another police scanner call here at 300 Hickory Street. I fully believe that's another one of the rigged homes. Probably has a tunnel coming from a neighbor's house. Okay. Viola Harper reported somebody in the attic of her home located at 3322 Providence in Midland, Texas. I happened to hear this call on my police scanner, so I recorded it. She was labeled as crazy by the dispatcher before the police arrived or investigated, which seems to be the modus operandi for covering up these felonies and violent criminals. And of course, that's happened to me. Life-destroying lies were spread about me to cover up these violent criminals and these they're rigging private homes with hidden access. And the question is this being done by a human trafficking, illegal immigration crime ring, you know, prostitution ring, sex trafficking ring? This is yet another call that I heard on the police scanner for 3309 Haynes, Midland, Texas, which is near the mall. I was told by a guy at the Home Depot store that the same thing happened behind my home, and that store was also going on by the mall. And I believe it was a reference to sex trafficking and organized crime. This is a video on that home. That's another police scanner call. You know, I mean, you wouldn't know about it if you didn't, you know, if I didn't happen to overhear it on my police scanner and then make a video and put it on my YouTube channel. You'd never know this was going on all over the place. I was told about a home on Sunset Circle in Hobbs, New Mexico, that is my hometown, where people were getting in the attic. This woman also told me that her boyfriend and another guy shot somebody in Midland. I wondered if she was talking about me. She's got his name. I've got the print screens in this video right here. I also believe that the home that I moved from in Hobbs, New Mexico was probably another rigged home, because my daughter recognized a light on in the attic in 2002. At the time, I thought it was an ex-wife that was breaking my house, so I didn't think anything about it. But then, you know, she later come back, Cindy did, and said, I didn't get in your freaking attic, you know, and sounded truthful. And if she didn't get my freaking attic, that means somebody else got my freaking attic, and that means that's a rigged home. Interestingly, it was built by my first in-laws, the Callaways, and they had lived in the home next door. Once again, I think there's a tunnel coming from a next door neighbor's house. My roofer told me about this home at 2505 Dartmouth in Midland, where the owner had asked them to go up in the attic as they believed somebody had been staying up there. The homeowner did. When I did my research, I was surprised to learn that the next door neighbor to the victim's home was the parents of Curtis Lloyd. He was the guy that found the remains of 13-year-old Haley Dunn, the famous missing murdered child, in Scurry County 2 days after I had wrote the Department of Justice and suggested they look in the underground homes and tunnels here by my home. Now there's around a dozen people documented saying that Haley was killed in Odessa, which is Ector County. So it's many people believe that Haley was dug up and moved from Odessa and then taken to Scurry County to be found because I contacted the Department of Justice and suggested they look in the underground homes here. A much longer story, but that's very interesting that Curtis Lloyd's parents lived in that home next door to where the owner was reporting people in the attic. The question is he part of this crime ring that's involved in rigging these private homes with hidden access for the many crimes: burglary, theft of services, murder, terrorism, evasion of privacy, total destruction of these innocent homeowners' lives. Phil Causey told me that about this home in Oregon where his children were reporting people in their bedroom, and then he found a hidden man-sized crawl space behind a wall. I believe that most of these rigged homes are rigged like this, and this is the message from Phil. He lived in Hillsboro, Oregon back in 2010. And he's telling me the breaking point for us was when our children began to report seeing other people in the rooms at night. And it freaked us out. I bet it freaked him out, right? I quickly realized there was a hollow space in the wall, at least 30 inches deep. We got out a tape measure then and made careful, detailed measurements of the whole house, only to find there were multiple places where the walls were in excess of 30 inches thick. And so, I think that's happening in most of these homes. What they're doing is they tunnel under the home, and of course, if it's concrete slab, they'll break the concrete out, and coming up this modified wall with the hidden crawl space, then they come up the wall, and then that allows them the attic. And of course, they're only in the attic when you're not there, because when you're not there, or when you are there, when you're not there, they have your whole home. Okay, and keep that in mind. It's not only in the attic. They have your entire property. I mean, they're sitting there on top of you. They know your passwords. They have access to your schedule. They have all of that information. A woman from Alabama was reporting people in her attic to the police, and as normal, she was falsely labeled as crazy. She crawls into her attic and makes a video showing a man-sized crawl space behind her bedroom wall. These same crimes are going on all over the nation, And this is a video I made. I didn't make it. She made it, actually. I just put it together here, and I'm going to see if I can show you the spot here. Keep it short.
Underneath this floor here and up underneath some of this insulation. They would make it very hard for me to find, I'm sure, but up underneath some of this insulation somewhere in the house. I really hate to pull it all out. And so, there's the board that they cut out. You see, it's laying over here, the board, the piece that came out. I imagine they traveled through the other side over to here. Like I said, that's just, they pulled the insulation out and they traveled through here. All this was done, but then here was my bedroom. And here was a place that was taken out of my bedroom that we found that was a hole in my ceiling to where I suppose they had a camera planted there. And then this, right beside my bedroom, you could just drop down in here in between my walls.
It's a hidden crawl space up a wall. That's what I've been saying. She said that. Phil said that. That's what I believe is going on. Actually, I just recently did a video about suspicion that the next door neighbor here had a tunnel going to my home, and the evidence I found that showed me that, and it was put in around the time that the last owner of my home died. It raises a whole bunch of questions. Here's a next one. A Grande communication tech comes by my home and tells me that he was in the house of a customer. He found human feces in the attic. He told the homeowner that somebody had been living up there. The home was a few blocks from my home. And, and it's just like one proof after another proof after another proof.
You work for Grande, right? Your name's Jesse?
Yes.
Okay, Jesse. And you were saying that you went into an attic.
Yes, like a year and a half ago, I went to some customer attic, right? Because I was installing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I noticed that there's feces. Well, but not any animal feces, they're big feces. And I kind of knew it was, I thought it was humans.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called a customer to check it out because it's tanked too. And and there was a couple. They popped their head up and they're like, they're not rats or anything. I was like, no, they're human feces. So you probably have somebody living in the attic or something. And
Where was this at?
I was like 3 blocks away from your house.
From my house. Did you catch that? You know, and so this is what the press has been hiding from the public. And like I said, these are, once again, dangerous criminals. Secret police protected killers are what they are. After I returned from the hospital from being ambushed and shot with burglar arms going off my attic, I purchased an inspection camera. I drilled a hole in my ceiling and I would snake the camera up into the attic. I was on crutches back then. One day I saw a young Hispanic guy on the screen, but he was out of sight before I could get the recorder going. On another day, I saw a young Hispanic guy in my dining room, and yet another night I woke up with a guy going through my nightstand drawer in my bedroom. Okay, I pretended to be asleep that time. I've long wondered if the people in the attic were undocumented migrants, aka illegals from Mexico, and we're about 3 hours from Mexico. I bought this camera. That it has a screen on it, has a little SD card where I can record, and I was sticking that up there, and as soon as I stuck it up there, I saw this guy on my screen in my attic, clear as day, you know. And you know, one thing I had over and over, you know, I think the members of this crime ring, they're very proud of this, you know, and they brag about it, and they use this to cover up their murders. Well, how come you haven't got anybody on camera, you know? And you know, I finally proved they were hacking my cameras. I turned that evidence over to Homeland Security, to the FBI, and I got a video about it. There's absolutely no doubt that they're hacking them security cameras. That's why nobody's been caught on camera. And that day, I almost had it. I mean, almost. I saw them on the camera, but I didn't have the recorder going in time before they were out of view. And it's hard to operate a camera that's on a snake, you know. And I'm down here, and it's up there, or whatever, you know. But it's not a what if. Could be absolutely 100. You know, it was a young Hispanic guy, looks just like the migrants. They're out there at the facility out there. Okay. The ex-wife told me in so many words that her dad was a kingpin in organized crime, and he had a river home near Mexico that I thought would be the perfect place to smuggle drugs, weapons, humans, or terrorists in. And actually, what that happened, we were talking one day, and she was bragging, and she said, "My dad is a king," as in kingpin. And I replied back. I said, "Well, I can one up you on that." You know, she said, "Oh yeah, how's that?" And I said, "My father is King of Kings." You know. And anyway, so I told this to the FBI about this home. Okay, wait, okay. He had a river home near Mexico that I thought would be the perfect place to smuggle drugs, weapons, terrorists, humans, etc. in. I told this to the FBI one time. We drove there in about 3 hours without seeing a checkpoint. Me and the ex-wife did. That's where we got engaged. And I seen her, and as seen in this video, I have pictures of that house and the trolley and the river and all that. He had rigged a trolley which would carry at least 6 people in a boat up the mountain from the Devil's River. That flowed into the Rio Grande, which is the border with Mexico. With the secluded trucking lane behind my home and the underground homes here, this would be the perfect stash house if you happen to be in the illegal immigration crime rackets, or you're smuggling meth in, or smuggling money, or terrorists, or whatever, right? It would also explain the people in the attic, and I have a video on that called Illegal Immigration and Stash Homes. I'll provide the links to this, to these videos, and when I post this. This is Buddy, Midland, Texas.